What if I told you there's an electric SUV rolling around right now that costs less than a mid-tier sedan, offers more range than its famous competitors, and comes loaded with features that luxury brands charge extra thousands for? You'd probably think I'm exaggerating, right? But here's the thing. I'm not. And once you see what this vehicle actually delivers for the price, you're going to question everything you thought you knew about the EV market. Stick around, because what I'm about to show you might just blow your mind. So let's talk about this mystery machine. Picture this. You're looking at an SUV that immediately reminds you of those trendy electric crossovers everyone's been obsessing over lately. You know the ones. Sleek lines, futuristic appeal, that whole minimalist vibe that screams modern electric vehicle. But here's where it gets interesting. This particular model doesn't just look the part. It actually outperforms many of its rivals in ways that matter, all while costing a fraction of what you'd expect to pay. We're talking about a vehicle that challenges the entire pricing structure of the EV world, and honestly, it's making some of the established players look pretty ridiculous right now. Let's start with what hits you first: the exterior design. Now, when you see a vehicle in this price range, you typically brace yourself for obvious cost-cutting measures. Cheap plastic trim, awkward proportions, that unmistakable budget car aesthetic. But that's not what's happening here. Not even close. The front end greets you with a smooth, grille-free face that's become the signature look of electric vehicles. It's clean, it's purposeful, and it immediately signals that this isn't your grandfather's SUV. The lighting setup deserves special mention. You've got these razor-thin daytime running lights stretching across the upper portion, while the main headlamps sit tucked below in a split configuration. It's a design language you'd normally associate with premium vehicles, the kind that wear price tags 2 or 3 times higher. The overall impression? Confidence, sophistication, a touch of the future without trying too hard. Now let's walk around to the side. This is where you really start to see the intentional design philosophy at play. The roofline swoops back gradually, giving you that sporty, coupe-inspired silhouette that's become wildly popular in the crossover segment. But here's the clever part. Unlike some competitors that sacrifice practicality for style, this one manages to keep things balanced. The slope isn't so aggressive that rear passengers feel like they're sitting in a cave. It's just enough to look dynamic without killing functionality. The door handles? Flush-mounted, naturally. Because we're living in the age where aerodynamics and aesthetics go hand in hand. The wheel options range from 19 to 21 inches depending on which version you choose, and they've got this turbine-inspired design that looks both efficient and expensive. And here's a detail that matters more than you might think. The wheelbase is actually longer than some of its direct competitors. That translates to more interior space, which we'll dive into in just a moment. Spin around to the back, and you'll notice something refreshing. While everyone else seems to be copying the same full-width taillight bar design, this SUV takes a different approach. The taillights are slim, sharp, and positioned on either side with a clean, uncluttered panel connecting them. No fake exhaust ports. No unnecessary busywork in the design. Just confident, purposeful geometry that looks expensive without shouting about it. The whole package comes together in a way that makes you do a double take when you learn the actual price. Because honestly, this looks like a vehicle that should be competing in a completely different price bracket. But you know what? The exterior is just the opening act. The real story, the part that genuinely made me jealous when I first experienced it, happens the moment you open the door and step inside. Because what awaits you in the cabin is borderline unfair. First impressions matter, and this interior hits you like walking into a luxury lounge that's been designed by people who understand technology. The dashboard flows with this minimalist elegance, but it doesn't feel cold or sterile. There are soft touch surfaces everywhere, subtle lighting strips that add ambiance without being tacky, and air vents that are so seamlessly integrated you barely notice them until they activate. Everything about the space feels deliberate, calm, and premium. And you're sitting there thinking, how is this possible at this price point? Because the reality is it shouldn't be. But it is. The centerpiece of this whole experience is the massive central touchscreen. We're talking over 17 inches of bright, crisp display real estate that makes other screens look outdated. It's running proprietary software that's shockingly responsive. No lag, no clunky interfaces, no frustrating menu diving. Just smooth, intuitive operation that responds the instant you touch it. Navigation, climate control, entertainment, seat adjustments, it's all right there, organized in a way that actually makes sense. But here's where things get really interesting. This vehicle features an augmented reality heads-up display. Instead of constantly glancing down at your instruments or over at the screen, Critical information like navigation arrows, speed, and lane guidance gets projected onto your field of vision, appearing to float on the road ahead of you. It's like playing a video game, except you're actually driving. And once you experience this technology, going back to traditional displays feels genuinely primitive. The driver gets a slim digital instrument cluster behind the steering wheel. Nothing overwhelming, just the essential information presented cleanly. And then there's the voice assistant. Now I know what you're thinking. Voice assistants in cars are usually terrible. You have to repeat yourself. They misunderstand commands. They feel robotic and frustrating. But this system is different. It actually understands natural conversation. You can say something like, "I'm feeling cold," and it adjusts the climate without you having to use specific command phrases. Ask for nearby coffee shops and your navigation has already loaded the closest options before you finish the sentence. It doesn't feel like you're talking to a machine. It feels like the vehicle is genuinely paying attention to you and responding accordingly. Compare that to the voice systems in most vehicles available today, and the difference is staggering. Now, all this technology would be meaningless if you weren't comfortable, right? Let's talk about the seats. The front seats offer full power adjustment, heating, ventilation, and here's where it gets absurd. Higher trim levels include massage functions. Yes, you read that right. Massage seats. In a vehicle that costs less than many mainstream sedans. The rear seats are equally impressive. Thanks to that longer wheelbase I mentioned earlier, passengers get generous legroom. The backrests recline for added comfort. There are dedicated charging ports and a fold-down armrest that actually feels substantial rather than like an afterthought. Above your head, a panoramic glass roof stretches across the entire cabin, turning the interior into this bright, airy space during the day and creating an almost magical atmosphere at night. The materials throughout the cabin deserve recognition too. At this price point, you'd expect shortcuts. Hard plastics, cheap fabric, obvious cost-saving measures. Instead, you're getting soft touch panels across the dashboard and doors, quality upholstery options that include leather alternatives or suede-like materials, clean stitching throughout, and ambient lighting that can shift the entire mood of the cabin with a simple tap. The established brands love to charge you thousands extra for things like upgraded lighting packages or premium seat materials. Here, these features either come standard or are available for a fraction of what you'd pay elsewhere. Then you start noticing all the little conveniences that add up to a complete experience. Wireless charging pads in both the front and rear. Multiple charging ports so nobody has to argue over who gets to charge their device. Dedicated climate controls for rear passengers so the people in the back aren't held hostage by front seat decisions. Built-in connectivity that lets you stream content without relying on your phone's hotspot. And over-the-air software updates that don't just fix problems, but actually add new capabilities over time, meaning this vehicle can genuinely improve as it ages. Sitting in this cabin feels like you've somehow gotten away with something. Like you paid for a basic meal and walked out with a 5-star dining experience, complete with entertainment and a massage. All right, let's talk practicality. Because if you've got a family or just need to haul stuff regularly, all the fancy tech means nothing if the vehicle can't handle real life. This SUV is sized to compete directly with popular mid-size electric crossovers, but remember that longer wheelbase gives you more usable interior room. You've got 5 proper seats with a flat floor, which means even the middle rear passenger isn't sitting on a hump. Cargo capacity behind the rear seats measures around 540 liters, and when you fold those rear seats down, you're looking at over 1,400 liters of space. That's enough for road trips, warehouse store runs, sports equipment, and whatever chaos life throws at you all at the same time. Storage solutions are thoughtfully placed throughout the cabin. Cubbies that actually fit your stuff. Cup holders that can handle large drinks, charging pads positioned where you'd naturally place your phone. It's clear this was designed by people who actually thought about how families and regular people use vehicles, not just by engineers focused solely on specifications. Now for the technical details. Because numbers matter when you're considering an electric vehicle. This SUV runs on a dedicated electric platform with battery options that cater to different needs. The smaller pack offers around 345 miles of range in official testing, which translates to roughly 270 to 280 miles in real-world driving conditions. The larger pack pushes range up to over 500 miles officially, with real-world usage landing somewhere around 400 miles. And there's even talk of future compatibility with advanced battery technology that could push theoretical range past 600 miles. Charging speed is impressive too. Using fast DC charging, you can go from 10 to 80% in around 30 minutes. But here's the real game changer. This vehicle is compatible with battery swap stations. Drive up to a swap station and in roughly 3 minutes, your depleted battery is exchanged for a fully charged one. No waiting around. No range anxiety. Just swap and go. Performance-wise, this isn't designed to be a sports car, and that's fine. It's a single-motor rear-wheel drive setup that gets you to highway speeds in about 6.5 seconds. Quick enough for confident merging, safe enough for daily driving, and smooth enough that you won't even think about it after a few days of ownership. It's perfectly calibrated for what most people actually need from a family SUV. Okay, here comes the part that's going to make your jaw drop. Let's talk price. In the market where this vehicle is currently sold, it starts at around $21,000. $21,000. That's less than many mainstream sedans. That's less than some pickup trucks. That's less than what some people spend on dealer markups alone. For comparison, popular electric SUVs in the same size category start at over $40,000 before you add any options. And once you start checking boxes for features that come standard on this vehicle, you're easily pushing past $50,000. The price difference is so dramatic that it almost seems like a mistake. But it's not. This is the actual pricing, and it completely destroys the argument that electric vehicles with premium features have to be expensive. Now, before you think this is all style and no substance, let's address safety, because that matters just as much as performance and price. This SUV comes equipped with advanced driver assistance systems, multiple cameras, radar, and depending on the trim level, additional sensors that provide features like adaptive cruise control, lane centering, automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, and traffic jam assistance. The structure uses high-strength steel combined with aluminum in key areas for rigidity and crash protection. The manufacturer has a solid track record in safety testing, and they're maintaining those standards with this model. It's not just impressive on paper. It's designed to actually protect you and your family in real-world scenarios. But here's the elephant in the room. Will this vehicle ever actually become available in markets outside of where it's currently sold? That's the million-dollar question. Right now, there are no confirmed plans for wider distribution. And even if it did expand to other markets, there are massive hurdles. Import regulations, tariffs, political considerations, and perhaps most importantly, consumer trust. Would buyers in established automotive markets actually trust a $21,000 electric SUV from a brand they're not familiar with? Would they have concerns about long-term reliability, service networks, and resale value? These are legitimate questions that don't have easy answers, because yes, the vehicle is incredibly impressive on paper and in person. But real-world ownership over 5 or 10 years is a completely different story, and we don't have that data yet. So here's what it all comes down to. What we're looking at is an electric SUV that costs roughly half what its competitors charge, yet delivers comparable or superior range, more features, better technology, and an interior that rivals luxury vehicles. It's proof that the pricing structure we've accepted in the automotive world might be more flexible than we've been led to believe. It raises uncomfortable questions about why established manufacturers charge what they do, when clearly vehicles like this can be produced and sold profitably at much lower price points. But it also highlights the complex reality of global automotive markets, where what's available in one region might never reach another due to factors that go far beyond the vehicle itself. So I'm genuinely curious what you think. If this SUV became available in your market tomorrow at this price point, would you seriously consider buying it? Or are there concerns about brand reputation, service networks, and long-term reliability that would make you stick with established names even if they cost significantly more? This isn't a simple question, and I want to hear your honest thoughts. Drop your opinions in the comments below. Tell me if you think this represents the future of affordable electric transportation, or if you see potential problems that make the low price less appealing than it seems. And hey, if you found this deep dive valuable, do me a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to keep exploring vehicles and technologies that challenge everything you thought you knew about the automotive industry. Trust me, things are about to get even more interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.